January 27th, 2026 at 10 a.m. We'll start out by standing and saying pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's Councilman Tyler, that he said invocation for.
You pray with me, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day that you give us, dear Lord, and ask you to protect us all, help us be able to bear with the cold weather, dear Lord, to get back what we can do, things that we normally do. We ask you, please bless and protect those who are working in the inclement weather, Lord. Please watch over them. Please bless the deliberation of our meeting today, Lord. Please help us do what's best for you, your kingdom, this county, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Number 4, approval of agenda, requires a motion.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
A motion and a second, all in favor? Any opposed? 5, ordinance number 26-01, first reading, an ordinance by Dillon County Council amending the zoning map classification of property located at and depicted as tax map number 041-00-00-267 located at 1913 Mount Calvary Road, Hanger, South Carolina, from general commercial district to single and two-family residential district. Requires a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Got a motion and a second. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Number 6, council recreation request.
We have the Rain Green Karate Studio. They're asking for donations. Stevie donated $100.
I think I'll make that
The next one is the Warrior Alumni Association. Stevie donated $100. Robbie donated $100 personal donation, and Greg gave a $100 personal donation.
That was the last one, right? Yeah, I'm on the third.
Okay, that's all.
Requires a motion.
Make a motion to approve that.
Motion is second.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Number 7, Department of Natural Resources, PD River Cleanup.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, thank y'all for having this meeting this morning. I know it's kind of a special call meeting. I appreciate y'all getting off y'all's jobs and coming up and handling this important business. But I have with me here this morning from DNR, Andy Wicker, who's the engineer, and Miss Bonnie Greenway, who handles all the funds and stuff for DNR. And if they could, Mr. Chairman, would like to come up and kind of make a presentation about how the money works and things. Andy will talk a little bit about the engineering and about how to really go about getting the river. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Ms. Bonnie?
Okay, Brody? These are just like the printouts, and it also has my business card in the event that you all need to contact me, us, regarding any projects. What I wanted to do is to talk to you all a little bit today about the water rec and the game and fish programs that DNR has. They're awesome programs, but unfortunately a lot of times the counties don't know about them, and where the money doesn't get utilized at the level that we'd like to see. For a little bit of background, the Water Recreation Fund is funded by the first 1% of the first 13 cents of the gas tax. Okay, so it's 1% of the first 13 cents of the gas tax. And annually, that brings us about $1.5 million. Then that money is dispersed based on the number of registered boats in a particular county. So that $1.5 million is divvied out to all of the counties based on the number of registered boats. That's the water recreation. Things that is used for are mostly what Andy does, which is the construction of boat landings, boat launching sites, etc. Okay, we also use it for fish stocking, fishery resource management, etc. The Game and Fish Fund is funded through the fines, the wildlife fines for hunting within your county, okay? And any funds from a ticket or a wildlife violation comes back to the county in the form of the Game and Fish Fund. What that is used for is everything from dove fields to equipment that DNR might need to use in your county, etc. Okay, the second page, Game and Fish normally brings in about $200,000 annually. And okay, in terms of how you request it, what normally happens is somebody comes up with an idea. Okay, they take it to the delegation, the legislative delegation. They vote on it, and if they approve it, DNR controls the money, but we spend it with approval of the county delegation. Okay, you send the request to the delegation. They then type up a letter and send it to me with what it is that you want and what you want to use the money for. Okay. In terms of Dillon County, right now you all have a request that was made in 2022 for the Little PD River debris removal. They had originally requested $113,000, and they still had $55,000 left. Okay. And just as an FYI, within the water recreation program or fund, you all have, Dillon County has $42,900, and in the Game and Fish has $82,569. Okay, so any questions on those things? On these papers that I've given you, it gives you a long laundry list of things that, examples of things that the money can be used. Okay, anybody have any questions?
Can we combine the funds? From say, recreation and game and fish, can we combine those two funds for one project?
We have done that in the past. Typically, it's with a building or an engineering project. But I guess what we need to do is to take a look at what it is you want to do, and if we need to, we can. The water recreation is far more restrictive than the Game and Fish is. Any other questions? All right, I'm gonna let Andy speak on the construction part.
Good morning, everyone. I came more like prepared for a Q&A, so feel free to jump in and ask questions if you have any questions. As Bonnie said, typically, we kind of rely on the local county legislative delegation to provide us a priority of the project. So we kind of rely on the recipients, which in this case would be you guys or whoever in the county to ask for that project. Once it comes to us, I guess we're kind of in a situation where we can then enter into like a funding agreement with whoever the recipient of the funds are. Just a few other, Bonnie spoke on the restrictions of the water rate funds. We typically like to see those facilities be open to the public 24/7 through day and night and free to the public. But other than that, our office is here to, I guess, assist in the procurement and the construction of the project. So all of these funds are reimbursement, 100% reimbursement only. We typically rely on a county or city or whoever within the county limits to procure the project. We can assist with that. We can assist with preparing like the procurement paperwork, and at times we can assist with design and survey and construction administration. So outside of that, that's really all we've got on the construction side. But if you got any questions, I'm happy to
Chair, if you don't mind, it was $65,000 left out of $113, the original money requested in 2022, I don't understand that. 42.9 left in recreation and 82,569 left in the other. With the possibility of that, maybe facilitating recreation or game and fish. Does river cleanup qualify for that?
For the game of fish or for the water rec?
Either or both?
The river cleanups would qualify for water rec. I don't know about game and fish. I'd have to rely on Bonnie for that. But we've done river cleanups, and we're talking about removing like debris from navigable waterways, I assume.
Right.
Right,
Under
yeah.
the guidelines, I know there's certain guidelines, you have certain links that you have to go by. But in the past, it's been kind of cost prohibitive for us to do the whole length of the river throughout the county. And I'd like to kind of, some of the areas hadn't been done. Of course, you know, if you do it one year, you have a storm, you get it back next year. You know
Right.
how that is.
Yeah, and if there's remaining funds, I would say those absolutely be eligible to do any portions of the river cleanup. What body of water? PD, little PD? Yeah, we can stage that however you guys feel like it's most appropriate.
What other counties have done is they've taken a certain section of the river and cleaned it up with X amount of money, and then they move and they do another section when they get, you know, because these funds increase you get more added to the pot annually.
They don't
So-
expire.
Correct, they don't expire. And so, what other counties have done is to clean up a certain segment, let's say from point A to point B, and then the next year they go from B to C as they get more funding.
But as of right now, out of that 113, there's 55,000 left in that original request.
Yes,
I think I understood that, and that can be used for river cleanup?
yes,
And the
that's
river-
already there and approved.
And that's been approved. So we have money there to do a certain amount. And the 42.9, that's in the recreation, as I understand it, that could also be used for that, even if they're different segments, I understand.
Right.
We could do it from county line to Dillon, and Dillon to next Florida or whatever.
Yeah, I think the unencumbered funds would probably need to be asked for and requested so that we could then allocate that to.
We can pay with the bids, but you know, do that. Anyway, so that, without having a particular project, such as a building or whatever, this could be used for some of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the past, what we've done, we've not done a lot of river cleanups. We've done some in some various counties. Some of the things the other counties did, they hired an engineer to like float the river and identify specific spots, like with GPS and photographs, and document, these particular reaches of river to clean up. So that could be helpful in, at least coming up with a plan and a path.
Probably not too cheap though, are they?
I don't remember what they were. It was definitely cost some money. It would be.
Past that, we go from landmark to landmark and then give us a price.
Yeah.
And then see how that comes up.
Yeah, and you can absolutely do that.
So we have a crowd, we have someone that cleans the river now, right?
Yeah, I think
We
the
got
contract
it out.
probably
Bid it
expired.
out.
Probably have to re-advertise.
Dennis, you might wanna check, I think we got a contract already.
You got something you wanna say, Mr. Poole? I mean, anybody got any questions out there?
I got a question, Mr. Chairman. I talked to Brett Milliken before, and what he told me he was gonna do, he was gonna have somebody to come, with a drone and survey the whole little PD river and kind of tell us where, the bad spots were, where it was good, and then he was gonna come back, DNR was gonna come back with a suggestion where to start and how we move forward. And I think that's what we're looking for. And before, in the past, I think they kind of might have cut certain sections and then, of course, jumped to this or whatever. But I think we need to have a plan how we move forward. I'm one of these people, I can't help what happened in the past. Going forward, I want us to have a plan to be able to do this. And of course, as Councilman Townsend said there, adding some of that money together. And also, July 1 will be here again before you know it, so that money, there'll be more money in the fund that could be appropriated. But, of course, the Little PD River is designated a scenic river. so there's some certain parameters in there that we have to follow. But, we need to have a plan. And also too, do you have any suggestions of any outside vendors or somebody else that you've used before or something? Of course, you gotta do an RFP for this, that's correct, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, sir. So, we, as I said, we haven't done a ton of these. I can reach out to, I know Horry County did one, and, there's a couple other counties that have done them, so I can reach out to those folks to see who they used for their vendors, just to see if they're competitive. If you guys have someone local, that's probably ideal. And if you guys need help, if our directors, mentioned helping out with drones, if our drone team can do that, I think that's absolutely something we can help. At least our office can maybe help develop like our recommended path on, which reaches to tackle first. Cause a lot of that will depend on obviously like the property owners and the accessibility to the sites. Do you guys know if the reaches of the river that you guys are looking to clean up, if those are owned by the county, or are they all privately owned?
Most of them have been privately owned, and in the past, like you said, it's been complaint driven, and we squeaky squeak.
Right.
Trying to agree, but anyway, it kinda, we get some of, like say, as soon as you do it, you gotta do it again. Scroll when you can too, with the river up and down.
Yes, sir.
That makes a difference.
I would say that probably will be the most challenging part. I think is probably just gonna be getting some kind of access, because the county or whomever's gonna have to procure this, I assume the county.
That's how we've done it in the past. We go from a landing where it is above the landing to the next one, like Huggins Bridge, Dallin Bridge.
Yeah. So if they're small enough reaches, where you can access them through the public landing, then you may not need to get any permissions or anything to clean that out, because obviously the water is rivers of the state, waters of the state, so, but if it's a spot where you may have to access it from someone's private property, that, could be a challenge, may not, depending on the relationship you guys have.
Stretches where it maybe is a little long between landings.
Yes, sir.
And I know we have to bid this out, but if you do have any suggestions, anybody, we don't care who does it. I mean, we really don't care who does it, as long as it's done good.
Price.
And price, I mean, and if you're taking stuff out, you're gonna be using a lot more equipment, I know it's gonna cost a lot more to do that. So,
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'll go back and look and see the vendors that the other counties have used. Like I said, we DNR have not procured a river cleanup ourselves, so we don't have any vendors that have done this for us, but I am aware of some around the state that have, so I can at least find out who those are and get those to you.
I mean, I know this answer, but Dillon County does not own the river, correct?
That is, I would say that's correct, yes, sir.
Okay. Also too is, I'm just trying to, these theories, and I want them to understand too, you can't get this money unless, they gotta draw the money down. It's not sent to them, you draw it down, isn't that correct?
Reimbursement.
Yes, it's reimbursement.
Okay.
So we basically do the cleaning and then y'all reimburse what you have. And then we'll have a total of what you have so we can
We know where
use
to
that
stop.
much and draw that out.
Yeah, we know where to stop.
Yeah.
And that's where we would have that funding agreement up front. We would have a maximum reimbursement cost of whatever, that delegation letter that Bonnie was talking about. Whenever you got that delegation letter from legislative delegation, they would have that set price. That price was, is what you guys would ask for. But that would be our maximum not to exceed price.
And I think that has been mostly, I guess, some of the problem, because like complaints I've had and I've heard from people, they think that we actually can go from one end in the county all the way to the other end, but I think we've 65,000, and by the time they get halfway up, the money's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next year we can start up north and come down, but in the south it's got just as bad again from the storms or whatever it is. So you really never win and you never get it cleaned up at the end of the day.
And part of that too is if you clean it up early in the year where the water levels are up, you clean it, come back down when the water levels fall.
It's-
In August, you buy more logs,
It's
especially you gotta
more
get back
logs,
over what you
what
did. But I think the idea of the drone would be a good thing, That way, when somebody complains, you say, well, let me show you what it looks like in somebody else's stretch of the river.
Yeah,
You got a way to answer questions from that if you got the information.
yeah, I think that'd be really good too.
And another thing, the money we get from y'all, we do spend on river cleanup. We can't spend it nowhere else.
Designated
Yeah,
projects.
I
Designated
mean, we
projects.
just can't take it and use it somewhere else, so.
Yes, sir.
Cause I think you said, Dennis, what, 42,000, I mean, that literally would get a quarter of one end of the river. By what's made
Yeah,
charge
we
of
get
bids out.
about half of what we done last time, but
Yeah.
we had to go back through it again, so.
Your original ask was $115,000, and you only spent half of it on whatever it is that you've done up until this point in time. So you still have the other half of that left, plus money in the water rec and game and fish.
Probably right at $100,000. And, you know, and some of this other money you talk
42.
about is, you know, we put canoes and stuff down at Little Bitty State Park, did certain type things, just took a lot of that money spent down at the park, you know, from a recreation standpoint.
So anything to do recreational wise would come out of that fund.
Yes.
Depends on how you wanna use it.
Okay.
It's 3 pots of money. It's 3 pots, and I think you can combine 2, and like Miss Bonnie said, if you wanna combine all 3, we got to have some pretty detailed information to make all that work, because normally that doesn't work. Normally that doesn't work. But, you know, basically what we're looking for is, and I think you see, we need a plan. We need to see where we at with the river. Talked to the director before about that. We're gonna be able to get that. And then when this water table goes down, hopefully in the spring or early summer, we're gonna be ready to go. And the thing is we gotta stick to the plan. Gotta stick to the plan. You know, when these 7 gentlemen here, they're getting all kinds of phone calls that this or that, you know, we're gonna have a plan. We're gonna have a plan. And, you know, like I said before, very few counties, like you said, you know, do this. But you know, this is an opportunity that is really not costing directly to the taxpayers, but, you know, just like that 1% of the first 13 cents of the gas tax is pretty complicated. But you kinda gave me an idea there. We start talking about some, you know, roads, you know, we hear about roads and all that all the time. Might be an opportunity to maybe do something else a little bit later. But, you know, first of all, I wanna appreciate Mickey, any of y'all guys on the river, y'all got any questions you wanna ask or anything?
Well, the point was made that it's going on, and I've talked to guys in the past that would cut a place and come back a day or 2 later and another trees down already. So once we get started on it, it's gonna be an ongoing project. But there's stuff in there now that, we've got pictures of, haven't been cut for 3 years. Some of it's bad. Bad part about it, we're losing a lot of our deep hole, because when one of those big blowdowns falls, the current slows down and the sand piles up behind it. And I've been through there and seen sand dunes in there 6 feet behind the blowdown. So it's in bad shape.
There's stuff that been done pretty. To me, if you start at one end and you go here, you start where you stop at and go here, and start where you stop at again, and then start back over.
Looks like
I
whoever's
mean,
doing
don't get
it's
me
gonna
wrong,
be easy
it's gonna be
for 'em.
time to clean it again, but if you stay in the same place all the time, you only clean one part of the river.
So it looks like that's what's happening. They're doing the easiest part and getting the money and not
I
doing
mean,
all the.
if you start at this end and you stop in the middle, you start in the middle and go to that end next time, you start back up.
But somebody said,
If you only go do one section, they could probably from the 3 to the floor, that is the most used section of the river.
That's okay.
No, he said McKay's Bridge to Floydale is the most used section, whatever.
Yeah.
Is the primary, let me ask this, is the primary purpose navigation for people to be able to traverse it in a boat, or is it something else like erosion and?
Yes.
Okay. So maybe that we can, you know, we can look at it, take a look, and we can pick out whatever the most obstructive pileups are, and remove those first, whether they're at the start or end. And maybe we can like specifically.
You already know that bed, so you let y'all.
go ahead, Nick.
It probably will help with flood control too, because we've got flooded out in lots of roof twice.
Draw Matthew up on,
Matthew.
everybody flooded in.
I think we got a good plan here. I think we've answered some questions here. The key thing about it, council, is we got a funding mechanism. You know, it's, more gas they buy, that's more fines and license and all that they buy, or happens or whatever, makes it a little bit more, but, you know, I think the thing is constantly sticking to the plan like you said. And I think that's the key, and I thought somebody brought up a good idea too about, we're talking, I think at some point in time, some of them just kind of went through there and got the easy part. And then I think it's like Mickey was saying there, there's some hard parts there that's got to be got. But, you know, the good thing about it is, you know, I'm glad we got y'all involved, but we have a better understanding of what's going on.
We, Andy and myself, are here to help, so if y'all have ideas or thoughts or, you know, continued questions, you know, call us and let us know, and we can.
Well, I do have one more. So, the guys that the county hired to go and cut this stuff, their only obligation is to cut and drop.
It's whatever you guys want it to be.
So they can cut and remove, or they can just cut and drop.
They could do whatever you guys spec it out at, so we, you know.
I know in the past, we've always been told all you can do is cut and dry.
5-foot lengths are cut and drop.
I know the other counties, they cut and remove. They had like a pre-disposal site, off-site somewhere that they were required to pay that.
It's gonna cost them money to do that. You gotta have equipment to go in there and get.
Because I will say, if you cut and drop, I assume you're talking about cut and drop into the river, like this, it's just gonna go downstream and fall on something else, and then you're gonna have more obstructions.
Yes, sir.
Steve, you remember the meeting we had with, DNR equipment?
Yes, sir.
In April, the guy said you cut it from bank to bank.
Yeah.
No problem about that. And, I've known in the past, they cut little holes in it, and that really worse than not cutting it at all, because what you get is a lot of stuff drifting downstream and jamming up in there, and that's harder to remove than it is to cut the tree to start with.
So we need to get approved to go in there and cut and remove it, since they say we can remove it. I know you couldn't do it a little bit at a time.
If you got $55,000, you might do for good that water.
It won't be right.
I'm just saying, when somebody's gonna rent a piece of machinery, or they got one and come in there and they start moving stuff, that ain't gonna be cheap, I do know that. You're gonna get a lot less than what I mean, you might get it cleaned out, but it's gonna be a lot less of an area. I mean, I don't know what it would be, if we might bid it out or whatever, but I just do know it would be more.
Yeah, what I have found personally is, if you can remove the really large obstructions, the ones you have to literally climb over, if you can remove those, so that you can reasonably get a kayak or canoe downstream, I found that the hardcore kayakers, canoers will take care of the smaller stuff. So if you can get it to where you can reasonably start at point A, end at point B, and take out, I think over time you may find that some of the smaller stuff may take care of itself.
But like I told that guy that meeting that day, Mr. Ford, that we've always been told you had to cut the lane. That's what we've been told since I've been on council.
Now, is that coming from the Corps of Engineers or from the contractors doing the work?
What's the contract?
That's some cool,
Yeah.
Corps of Engineers, so yeah, it may be that it may be that you're looking at getting like a permit for it, but I know on those other projects, they had permits from the Corps, and those were cut and removed.
Okay.
Every part of it will be different. Get some of that.
Oh, someone's gonna be working on it.
No.
But it's any question. Or anything else out there?
You know, thank you, Mr. Chairman, thank y'all for taking your time to come down today. Look forward to working with y'all. Like they said, if there's any questions or anything, you know, I'll be honest, I don't know anything about the river, but there's water in it. There's some fish, I don't know about all that other stuff, but they're called in, you know, y'all know I've always supported anything that y'all have asked, especially for cleaning up that river, try to make that work for you. I'll continue to do that. We'll get a plan. I'll coordinate with them, and we'll coordinate back. We'll come up with a plan how to operate. And you might be right there, Councilman Cook, that, they might be some stuff, they might see something on there, well, look, you got to do this. Well, if they say we gotta do that, well, what money we got, we'll do that, and then we'll move on down.
Get more money and go, that's what we need to do. Yeah.
Another thing too, we've got people in the, safety officers club that'd be glad to go behind whoever does it and check, you know, to make sure that it's getting done in a timely manner.
We got one good thing going for us, we got Coach Hayes on Ways and Means. Where the money's at, he's on the Ways and Means committee.
Well, tell y'all, there's just a certain amount of money to go around.
Appreciate it for coming.
Oh, you're welcome.
Anybody else got anything out here? Number 8, motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
Motion second, all in favor? Any opposed? Meeting now adjourned.